He's got an aggressive driving style, and this car is allowing him to sort of punch through the air so much better than the hatchback did. I think it's just a case of driver and car in absolute sync.
It's a different level. He's an absolute character, and the way that man drove that car this weekend, I mean, race 3 is always nuts, but this time out, it's like they turned it up to 13 or something. Thanks for joining us back on the Motorsport Files, and if this is your first time with us, welcome to the show. We generally cover Formula One, rallying, and a bit of the BTCC, but of late, I've not been able to do that. Principally because I haven't had anybody to talk rallying and BTCC with. However, thankfully it has all changed. And if you're on TikTok or social media, you may also have seen his content on there too. Joining me on the show as regular host, Chris, thank you for joining us and welcome to the show, mate.
Thank you very much. Looking forward to it. Always a pleasure to talk British touring cars.
I don't need much of an excuse, that's for sure. And even less for rallying, to be fair. So I'm quite looking forward to it. Shall we get on to it, get into it? Can we start with driver changes in the news? Because last weekend, there was quite a bit, actually, surprisingly. We've obviously got Ryan Bensley in, replacing Max Buxton, who I actually thought it was funding, lack of budget, same old story. Turns out it's not. They've dressed it up quite nicely, but effectively it's just poor results, really, isn't it, for him? So they've moved him sideways.
Yeah, it's tough for Max. He's a young kid. He came in a bit ahead of schedule last year. Obviously, his dad is in the team, and he's got a lot of potential, but it's just not really worked out for him. We saw it even last year in the BTCC with Max Hall, who was in there, and he's stepped back and has gone back to TCR UK, I think, with the view to coming back to the BTCC in the future. So it's, as you say, it happens, and results just weren't there for Max to really justify staying put.
I think it's probably better for him, to be fair. He should do all right, and I think Ryan should do okay as well. Obviously, he didn't do that brilliantly on the weekend, but I mean, first time in the car, not second technically. I think we should obviously give him some time in the car, let him get some seats on and see how he does for the rest of the season.
Definitely. I mean, he's the fastest mortgage broker out there, because he's.
That's what they were saying.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at it, you've got to frame his performance really as a sort of gentleman driver rather than someone that's going to be challenging for podiums. But give him the best chance. He's got a good teammate there in Josh Cook. I think it's if Speedworks are happy to have him in, I think hopefully it'll be an asset to the championship.
And you never know how we might develop. You never know. There might be a surprising there.
Yeah, exactly. Get there, get some seat time, get some races. There's still 5 race weekends left, so there's plenty of opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. And there was a few others. I mean, WSR obviously now have filled their third car with Lewis Gilbert. How did you think he got on?
Again, I think he finished all 3 races. So that is quite, in itself is probably okay. I mean, he's brand new to cars. He was in karting until last winter, and then joined GB3, did all right, got some points in GB3, but to go from karting to single seaters to British touring cars in a little over 6 months it's going to be a challenge. So again, I think you've got to set expectations reasonably low, and then see how he gets on, because you've got to start somewhere. But at least he's coming in as a youngster with some racing pedigree there. It's quite exciting in a way, and it's not too dissimilar to the fact that when Darryl de Leon came into the touring cars with almost out of nowhere, so to speak, albeit he had some junior saloon experience, but then coming through and has done really well. So I think Lewis Gilbert's certainly one to watch.
Have you been that aware of him beforehand, or have you been following his career?
No, honestly, not. He was a new name. I follow GB3 a bit, but he came into GB3 as a newcomer this year. But whilst if anyone's seen my TikToks, they'll know there's not much motorsport I don't watch, but going down to the karting ranks is just something I don't have the time for. But there is a line.
Yeah, I don't know how you manage to keep up to date with so many championships. One driver though that we can't not mention, I'm gutted for him, quite frankly, is Ricky Collard. He's an absolute character, and the way that man drove that car this weekend, it's such a shame that it looks like we're not going to see him for the rest of the season.
Oh, it's a massive shame. I mean, Ricky's up there with any of the drivers really in the BTCC for talent. I'd put Ash and Tom at the top, and then I think Ricky's right, just that next level below. And if not, give him some seat time, he could even be up there with Ash and Tom. And, it's such a shame. I think we've seen EXCELR8 came out today and have said on their Instagram wishing him a happy birthday and saying how they hope he gets the support in order to continue racing. So it's pretty much confirmed that he's going to be out. And that's just such a shame.
It is, but it's down to budget. He hasn't got the cash behind him, unfortunately.
Yeah, it is. And it doesn't make it any easier for fans, though. It does it when you really, it's the premier British motorsport class and you'd love to have the best against the best. And it's, there are some cracking drivers on the grid and the standard has been quite high this year, I think. But when you see a driver of that quality not be able to raise the funds, it's just a bit disappointing. So we also had the news that Senna Proctor was going to take Sam Osborne's place for the races this weekend. Sam having an illness and having to drop out, and Senna did very well.
He did, but then he did pretty well for EXCELR8 as well, to be fair. And I was actually pretty shocked that he didn't land himself a full-time drive at the start of this year. I'm really shocked because he did so well last year with the team and he played a blinder supporting Tom Ingram last year. I'm really amazed he didn't get that full-time drive. So to see him out on the track this weekend was really good for him. It gave him another chance just to show how good he was, and he showed it. There were a few instances there where he got punted off slightly and he caught it, but his pace was there as well. It'd be nice to see him out full-time.
Oh, 100%. I mean, he did the Ricky Collard role last year, effectively, a half season in that EXCELR8 car. And, you'd wonder if there was more of a fight for the teams and manufacturers title, whether NAPA would look to keep Senna in the car somehow, because, from a point scoring perspective, while Sam Osborne is, Sam's not a bad driver at all, and obviously son of the team owner, Senna is a point scorer, and you look how much he did compared to someone like Lewis Selby, who came into the touring cars this year with, the mini experience, and Senna's catching him up after one race weekend. So it is a shame he's not going to be there.
I mean, to be fair, he has been the development driver for NAPA all year, so he has had some seat time. Not a lot, and obviously no race seat time, but he's got the natural talent and the natural skill there, so it's never going to take a driver like that very long to get back up to speed. It seems crazy that a guy like that doesn't have a full-time seat.
Yeah, absolutely. You've got to hope he can find the way, certainly for next year, but hopefully we see him again this year at some point.
All been well, although that's obvioly going to mean possibly somebody else.
That's true. You never want to say goodbye to anyone else.
No, I don't wish bad things on anybody else either. We've got another driver coming back though, which is I'm a little surprised. I've got to be honest. I've heard Nick Halstead is coming back for PMR. I thought he was done. I genuinely thought he was done and dusted.
I think Nick's almost like one of us. He's just a bit of a sicko. He loves it, doesn't he? Yeah. He's just, he said he was retiring from the BTCC, but obviously PMR have got the ability to run another car. He ran with them last year. He knows he's a gentleman driver, so he's not, he knows his role is to bring cash and bring eyeballs via the activations and things he does. Yeah. And so he's, I heard there's not going to be any crazy karts this year, which obviously were quite popular with people at race weekends last year. But because obviously with the race to pole qualifying race on a Saturday now, there's no time for that on a Saturday now. But, it's another driver on the grid and, certainly a good personality.
And it's first time, of course, that PMR are actually bringing a full 4-car team, which is amazing. That when you think what happened back last year as well, it's amazing how far they've come.
I mean, the turnaround for that team has been absolutely incredible. You just have to doff your cap because what they've done, and they brought new chassis this year as well with the Audis. So it's just incredibly impressive. I mean, you look at how the Plato cars have struggled on the whole as a new car. Paramax brought a completely new car as well and have been remarkably consistent.
They've run the Audis before, haven't they? If I'm if I remember rightly.
Yeah, testing my knowledge there.
A while back now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's obviously not the same car. It was an older Audi, but I'm sure they've had Audis before. But yeah, like you say, I mean, going from the fire, was it August last year-ish, August, September time, to now the position they're in at the moment has been an amazing turnaround. Like you say, it's the amount of work that must have gone in to get them there is unreal. I was going to ask you about the Mercs though, because I know that you just mentioned it. We were expecting potentially a bit more than we're seeing at the moment. I don't know if that's fair or not. I think maybe potentially that was a little unfair of us.
I think they talked a good game in pre-season. I mean, Jason Plato is an exceptional media personality. He knows how to drum up interest. And I think, they did the behind the scenes documentary. He did the late break show with as well. There was a lot of interest. It sounded great. And I think probably it was just the expectations were a little bit too high, because actually at Thruxton this weekend, they had a really strong weekend. I mean, Dan Rowbottom got their first podium on race 1, which was super. And they were running comfortably in the top 10. I mean, Thruxton's a unique circuit, obviously. So I probably wouldn't expect to see him running up that high at Knock Hill. But, I think they are moving in the right direction. But yeah, I think we all just set expectations a little bit too high for him.
I think that's, just the Plato name did that. Just the fact he was coming back to the paddock. I don't think they're doing bad though. They do seem to drop off about halfway through the race though, because almost in all 3 races, I mean, except for Adam Morgan getting punted off into the barriers, kind of killed his race. More often than not, their pace early on, they're almost challenging for first, second place. But halfway through the race, then they just drop off. And I'm beginning to wonder what that is, whether that's just set up. It's clearly it's not overall power or anything like that, but maybe it's how they're using their tyres or something. But whatever it is, they need to get on top of that if they want to really bank some decent results this year.
I guess the problem is it just takes experience. It's why setting up a new team from scratch is going to take a while. I mean, RML have got a lot of experience, as do, I'm sure, all of the personnel working on those cars. But at the end of the day, it's a new chassis for the BTCC in the A-Class Saloon. And it's just going to take time. I mean, they've got 2 good drivers. Robo doesn't shy away from a fight, neither does Adam Morgan. So, I think that they've been great for the championship this year. And I still think maybe by the end of the year, we might be starting to see some, contending for that sort of podium race 3 wins type of thing. But, the other problem we've got is that this year it's, Ash Sutton's been so strong up front, and Tom Ingram's, chasing him down with all he's got. And even he can't get close to Ash on the whole this year. So what chance has anyone else got? Those two are mopping up the wins between them.
We saw it a couple of years ago in the older Focus, but the performance that Ash showed this time out, I can't remember which race it was. Was it 2? I think it was race 2. That knife edge balance as he's tipping it in, and he's just holding it beautifully, just turning in tighter than the others. And the amount of power he's keeping on. I mean, big respect for the man.
Absolutely. And I think this car really seems to suit his driving style. He's got an aggressive driving style, and it's what this car is allowing him to sort of punch through the air so much better than the hatchback did. Yeah. So it's just, I think it's just a case of driver and car in absolute sync, because, that it's not like that car is taking the front 4 places, every weekend. Even Dan Camish is having to fight his way to 3rd in the championship. So it's just, Ash Sutton's just been relentlessly impressive this year.
It's a different level, is Ash. I mean, that's kind of what I was getting at. It's just, they're all very good drivers to be on that grid. Let's obviously make that very clear. But when you look at Ash's technique and how he knows 3-4 corners ahead what they're going to do ahead of him, and he's already setting it up. And I mean, I know most of them are, but his level of racecraft and forethought is obviously second to none and far greater than the rest of them, apart from possibly Tom Ingram. He's definitely on a par, but that finite amount of class, I'm going to call it, he drives with class. That man, the way that man drove that weekend, it was amazing. It was beautiful to watch. I didn't get to see too much on board from Tom, but I know he's obviously a good driver too. But between them, there isn't really a great many other people that are going to get close to him. I mean, two other standout drivers, we've mentioned one already, Ricky, and the way that he drove was just epic, proper old school style. But Josh Cook for the win in race 1 and very nearly the win in race 2 at one point as well. I think he had a great weekend.
Yeah, I mean, he I don't think he likes the title, but he is the king of Thruxton, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's double-digit race wins at Thruxton now. So it's a circuit that suits his style, but, that's his first win of the season. Very impressive. I mean, he was impressive. He had it on rails in qualifying, and in the qualifying race, he just sort of, that qualifying race was a procession because he just got, as was race 1, he just got to the front. And if Ash and Tom can't catch you up, you're doing something right. So,
right,
absolute all credit. And again, it goes back to what we were talking about earlier. When you look at the fact that, Max Buxton was in the same car and Josh is able to get that car to the very front. And that's just, really impressive. Yeah. One other driver I just think is worth mentioning about Thruxton, who I thought was quite impressive, was James Dorlin. Very much in the race for the independent drivers title in a battle with Mikey Doble. And, James had 3 top 10s over the weekend, getting that Hyundai looking like it's traveling in the right direction. And I think, he's going to be right up there for the independent title.
I was pretty impressed with James Dorlin's performance too, actually. He was certainly not shying away from the fight in 3, was it? I think he was...
He and Ricky had the battle in race 3, didn't they?
Yeah. Yeah, he's definitely one to watch, and he had a pretty good solid weekend. I mean, race 3 was nuts. I mean, race 3 is always nuts. But this time out, it's like they turned it up to 13 or something. I mean, so many offs. I wondered at one point if they were going to stop the race. There was that many, but they managed to carry on. But what did you make of all that? Because there was a lot, even for race 3.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the first couple of races were a bit, we obviously we haven't talked about the incidents in the first couple. There was only a couple of incidents. Obviously, there was the Tom Ingram going off in race 1 when Dan Camish pushed him wide on the first lap. There was the Tom Ingram chicane incident with Josh Cook in race 2. I mean, that they're going to have to rename that chicane the Tom Ingram chicane, I think, at some point, given he skips it once a year. And then race 3, I mean, I think you nailed it. Race 3 is always a bit nuts. You get that slightly mixed up grid. Drivers are trying to get something out of the weekend. I think you factor in a couple of mechanical issues because who was it? I think there were 6. Was it 6 DNFs? I think it was Moffat, Cook, Morgan, Bensley, Selby, and Aaron Taylor-Smith didn't finish. And that's even for the BTCC, that's a lot for race 3.
A lot.
I think because Thruxton, you're just on it all the time at Thruxton, and it doesn't take a lot for something to go wrong. When your foot doesn't lift off the accelerator pedal. So, but it was just a BTCC race 3. It's one of the reasons we love it.
It is. But like you say, it was nuts even by BTCC standards. What did you make of Bensley's failure then? Because I'm not actually sure if I've heard what happened with that. He went into the pits after, I think it was during the safety car, and then came out, and I'm assuming his front right suspension collapsed, or was it the wheel that wasn't put on right? Did you hear about that?
No, I didn't. I missed. I must admit, I missed that. So I'll take your.
I've not heard either way. I'm going to have to figure out what actually happened with that, because it certainly wasn't on.
No, indeed. I mean, I guess they're so desperate to get the cars back out to finish so they can try and claim, you can claim your points for 15th if you finish, even if you finish a couple of laps down. So maybe they were just a bit too desperate to get him back out. Some of the images of the damage to the various cars, I mean, the side of Josh Cook's car was, I mean, thankfully it was his passenger side door rather than his driver's side door that was that dented, because if it was the other side, he might have felt
never got out. Yeah. I mean, the bloody window was waving about. It was nuts. I mean, we've seen some pretty big damage on the BTCC, so that wasn't too bad.
Well, luckily the next race weekend is at Knockhill, where nothing crazy ever happens.
No, completely normal. God, I wonder if we're going to have another special from NAPA, another special livery. I'm fully expecting it.
I would have thought so. I think they've been doing some stuff with the Doddy Weir charity this year, so I expect something.
Yeah. What's your favourite track then, out of interest, on the calendar?
I mean, I've got Thruxton and Brands Hatch and my two sort of local circuits, so the ones I know inside and out. I mean, for racing, I think Brands Hatch GP is probably my favourite, although Thruxton does sit close to my heart just because of how fun it is. And I love going to races at Thruxton because it's just such an old school circuit. It's just, it's a proper throwback, whereas everything else is a little bit more sanitized. But, I think different thing, I love watching it from almost everywhere. I mean, that you get great races up at Croft. Donington's always fun.
Yeah, I like Donington.
But I'm biased towards my southern circuits. What about you?
Yeah. I think, yes, you're right, Croft, well up there, and Croft is my local. But I actually really like Alton Park. It's just such a beautiful circuit, and I love the layout of the track. It produces some really cool action. The only thing with Thruxton just gone was the track limit thing. Because it's such an old school circuit, if you go off, you're pretty much done. And I can never remember which turn it was, but they were constantly clicking round. I think, Ingram got final warnings. One or two others got final warnings as well. And it's just, normally I agree with it if they're cutting corners, like a chicane, for instance, but I don't know, it felt like they were a bit too hot on it this time around.
I thought so. I thought, especially, dressing up, Ingram got his penalty for track limits in race 2, which was, they gave it for track limits because he cut the chicane, but he only cut the chicane because of the contact, and that contact was arguably not his fault. I mean, it was partially his fault for definite, but it was really just a racing incident.
It is, but I mean, he's done it before.
Well,
and I do wonder if he instigates this racing incident knowing full well how it's going to come out, and he's just going to wait, come out in front and just see what the stewards do. I think
the problem was I don't think he should have given the place back to Cook, but he clearly gained time because he shot off past a chicane and then carried on like a jackrabbit. And I think if he'd slowed down, it might have been slightly less easy to give him the penalty, but he just sort of, he shot off like a hair out the gun. So it was, it was what it was.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, they both went off. They both missed the chicane. So
Thruxton's only got a couple of turns, and the problem is when they put the tyre stack there and they put the barrier there, it's not like you can just you can't go over it. You've either got to fully miss it or you're going to ram into an obstacle,
which has happened.
And they, Tom's not going to try, definitely doesn't want to do that because he doesn't want to, if he does that and doesn't finish, the title's gone. Yeah. So it's difficult, but I thought they were a bit harsh this weekend.
I did, to be fair. And it's not the time of the year that Tom Ingram needs to be getting track limit penalties or any sort of penalty. Especially the way that Sutton's driving at the moment.
But if you were Spencer, his race engineer, I mean, you'd be telling him, like, he got track limits warning in all 3 races, I think. Yeah. Would you not be having a bit of a word? Just, get off, but the problem is he drives the car the way he drives the car. And he, as we said earlier, he's a fantastic driver. So you just have to take the rough with the smooth, perhaps.
I'm not sure Tom's the sort of driver that needs telling. He knows his stuff. He knows what he's doing. There are certain drivers on the grid that I do wonder, look, just take the edge off on a certain corners. It's not so much an issue now, I suppose, really, or we've not seen it as been much of an issue, but like losing your quali times through track limits, naming no names, but I'm sure you know who I'm talking about. It's nuts. You'd be so much quicker if you just shaved a little bit off, and it does it every weekend. At every race. I'm sure you know who I'm talking about.
Yeah. I mean, but on this weekend, I can sort of understand with Tom Ingram, especially in that race too. I mean, he sees Ash Sutton scampering off away in the distance. You're going to do everything you can, aren't you? And Thruxton, you're on the limit, and it's just the nature of the course.
The circuits that we've got coming up will probably be a better chance for Tom to try and make up that gap.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, he looked good at Knockhill last year, I think. And I think we'll have some different I think Knockhill will have some different contenders. I would expect the Plato cars to not be quite as far forward as they were this week. I'd expect the WSR BMWs to be a bit further forward. And then I think every race weekend until the title's sewn up, I think it's just going to be a title gargantuan battle between the two of them. They're so far ahead of the rest of the field, and unless we see something extraordinary like Jake Hill come back, I don't think there's going to be anything that's going to get into between those two. I think we're going to be talking about, Sutton v Ingram. It's as the gargantuan battle for the year.
Yeah, and for a while, I think, which is a shame. It'd be nice to throw another couple of names in that hat, to be fair, but they are just so far ahead. I mean, speaking of the championship and future championships, we did get some good news over the weekend's coverage, which you may or may not have seen. Alan Gow gave an interview, and there was 2 points he made. One, that he's confirmed a deal with ITV to continue till 2030, which confirms the free-to-air coverage for at least another few years, which is great. For those that aren't aware, Sky have bought a good portion of ITV, and there was a genuine worry that they may stick the BTCC behind a paywall. Doesn't sound like that's happening. So good news there. And it wasn't really a point that he made particularly. It was more of a throwaway comment, really. But he's pretty much confirmed that hybrids have gone. Electric has gone. It's got no intention of bringing it back, which personally I'm very happy about. I didn't think it worked particularly well. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, firstly, the news about the ITV deal, I think, is excellent. And as you say, the beauty was in the detail of that deal, with the fact that ITV have confirmed it's going to stay, the full 8 hours live coverage. And that's just brilliant news. I think, I would worry for the BTCC if it ever lost its free to air TV, it would fall into the realm of niche sport quite quickly, I think. So that was fantastic news. And I think you've got to give credit where it's due for them managing to tie that deal up. And also, I think importantly, that the races are going to stay on YouTube internationally, because, the BTC is such a good championship. People from abroad should be watching it. I love Australian supercars and can watch those races. It's the same vice versa the other way around. So I think that's good news. And in terms of hybrids, I think they were too expensive. They were too heavy. I think we've seen with Formula One, everything that's gone on when you just muck around with having a car with its maximum power. And with the BTCC, it's important to be an attractive product. They're not aiming for manufacture. There are no true manufacturers in the series. So it's not like there's any relevance to road car development going on. It's a pure racing series. And from that regard, let's keep the cost down and keep the racing as good as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. And I hope to God that they follow the same path with sustainable fuel, because that in itself will continue to make the sport amazing, because we will be able to continue to have internal combustion and sound and smells and everything else that goes with it. So I'm a big backer of that, and I hope to God, because that's the future of our sport that we love so much, because there will come a time where we're not allowed to use normal petrol. So we need something that's going to replace it properly, and I think that's the way to go.
And I always say to people, you've got to get to a BTCC race weekend, because, you hear the cars, you see them, you smell them, you feel them, they get into your bones. That's what's so great. You might look on TV and see a chassis of a car that you can buy, and you go, oh, that's why I really need to watch a Toyota Corolla race around a racetrack. But then you look at them and they look and feel so fantastic. And, I don't think the BTCC really makes enough to the wider motorsport audience of quite how cool these cars are.
Yeah, no, I suppose it could be done. More could be done. But the fact that you can just go into the pits and pretty much, touch them. I mean, you obviously can't go into the garages and get in the way, but you're so close to the cars. You can see what they're doing. You can go and speak to the drivers. And it's amazing. Obviously, you can't do that in Formula One. And there are several other things that you can do, but it's just go and check it out. I mean, if you're at all curious, motorsport curious, now's the time to do it. Go down to your local track and just support it. It's brilliant. You won't look back. I mean, have you got an origin story for your motorsport obsession?
Not. I mean, my dad took me as a kid. It's funny though. My dad's not even that big a motorsport fan, but just would take me to Brands Hatch as a kid for the touring cars. You know, my era growing up was Alan Menu and Jason Plato. And you know, that's a pretty good time to be growing up watching touring cars. And then I've Formula One obsessive all throughout my entire life, from being, you know, as tall as the table that I'm sat at to now, and then everything else. And I've now got, you know, I've got 2 kids of my own who fortunately my son loves motorsport, even at his tender age. And, you know, what I've enjoyed is, you know, you look around and you go, well, look, how do I really want to take my kids to watch the motorsport. And then you think, oh, I'm not going to take them to Formula One because that's too expensive or whatever. And you know, you go, hang on, BTCC, it's right there. Kids are free. My ticket's £30, and you can have a fantastic day. You can, as you say, talk to the drivers, not touch the cars, but yeah, you know, and that's it. And you know, my love of motorsport has just grown over the years, and I love sharing my passion for it, and I'm delighted to be doing that here as well.
Amazing. I think that pretty much tops us off, doesn't it?
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much for your time, Chris. We will see you again next week, hopefully, for the rallies. Was it Rally Finland, is it?
Absolutely. Rally Finland. It's the crown jewel in the World Rally Championship calendar in my eyes. So I can't wait to be glued to that over the weekend.
Yeah, pretty much the Thruxton of the WRC. Just everywhere. Just
with a few more jumps.
And trees. Hell of a lot more trees. Yeah. No, it'd be amazing. I'm so looking forward to it. It'd be nice to be able to chat about rallying again. Thank you very much, Chris. We'll see you next time out.
Thanks very much.
Cheers.